and welcome back to my channel. I'm Gail. For the last 3 or 4 months, maybe more, I keep seeing stories about estrangement, going no contact. I have never really heard of it before, but the first time I saw that word estrangement, I just knew what it was. So I started reading people's accounts of estrangement. Some people call it going no contact. But I started reading some of the stories, and it's apparently a thing now for young adults to go no contact with their adult parents, or their aging parents, I should say. They just quit calling, quit texting, quit coming to see them. And they just don't have anything to do with them anymore. Not anything. Not just once in a great while, but nothing. They've just gone silent. And I just thought, well, how sad is that? I can't imagine a grown adult kid doing that to their parent in their later years. Anyway, as I said, I started looking at some of the stories and reading them, and now I did see one from a lady. She was the child who had cut off her mother. She said she had not spoken to her mother in over 20 years. Goodness. Well, I had to read that. Now, she told her story about how horrible her childhood was, how horrible her mother was. And I had to agree that this is one woman who should never have been a mother. So, of course, she would have cut her off. I would have too. Apparently, the father was never in the picture. She talked about how her mother had an endless stream of boyfriends through the house, and more than one of them had abused her as a little girl. And when she told her mother, she just didn't do anything about it because she would rather have that man's company than to protect her daughter. So yeah, in cases like that, I could see it. But it seems to be more and more just no real reason for it that the parents can say. And that's another thing. In seeing all of these different stories from different parents, the one thing I have not seen, and I don't think I've seen, well, I know I've not seen it from any one of them, that they tried to find out why. They just accepted it and let it go at that. Wouldn't you want to know? My goodness, surely you're hurt by this. Wouldn't you want to know? But no, they just said, I haven't heard from him in 2 or 3 years. I haven't heard from him in over 4 years. Now I know that if that were me, and this is just me, this is just my opinion, but if that were me, and my daughter, who is my only child, was doing that to me, I'd be for finding out why. I would call. I would text. If I couldn't get an answer, I would be knocking on her front door. I would want to know why. Please tell me what's going on. What did I do? Let me apologize. Let's work this out. But no. They've not said that. They've not said that they have questioned their child about it at all. There has to be a catalyst, something that triggers this. I don't know. But I also saw where there was going to be a podcast on YouTube, and it was on this very subject. So I tuned in to watch it, and it appears to be a growing thing among young adults that they didn't like the way they were raised, or they felt like they were always a disappointment, so they just cut off all contact, and they're the ones who call it going no contact. I saw a young man on this podcast that said, I went no contact with my family. He meant his parents and his siblings 3 years ago, and I've never looked back. And he went on to tell what his parents had done, and he had a viable argument. I agree with him. But boy, that is drastic. That is really drastic. And he has 2 children that his parents have never seen. They've never met their grandchildren. Oh my. Again, if that were me, I couldn't take it. I have 2 grandchildren that mean the absolute world to me, and so does my daughter. My youngest granddaughter has 2 daughters herself, and those grandchildren, those great-grandchildren, mean the world to me. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Something would have to happen. We would have to go to counseling, talk it out, hash it out, whatever. But that doesn't seem to be what's happening. And on this podcast, the narrator, and I forget how many it was, but it was an astronomical number of people in the United States that are estranged and have gone no contact with at least one family member, if not more than one. And in some cases on this podcast, there were people there, 2 or 3 of them, that it was the parent who had cut off all contact with a child for one reason or another. Oh my goodness, I can't wrap my head around that. And I'm trying not to be judgmental, I really am. Because there's, like I say, there has to be a catalyst that caused this. Something had to have happened somewhere along the way. I don't know. Has this happened to you? If it has, please let me know about it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. I'm not going to judge. I just know it's something I couldn't live with. Okay, that's it for today. I would love for you to subscribe to my channel. And again, tell me your story in the comments below. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.